Is Monday, March 27th, 2023, 7 p.m. here at the City Council Chambers at City Hall for the study session meeting of the City Council. I'll call the meeting to order and entertain the roll call, please.
Beaufore. Here. Birgen.
Here I am.
Drenkow.
Here.
Kangas.
Present.
Meyers.
Here.
Rathe.
Present.
Schneider.
Here.
Thank you very much. Moving to item C, Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I will move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Birgen, second by Drenkow. Council discussion, if any. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Section E is public comments for items not on the agenda. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes unless additional time is granted by the presiding officer. All remarks shall be addressed to the council as a whole and not to any individual member. Are there any public comments this evening from anyone? See nobody arrive, we'll proceed on to Section F, the study session calendar. Item 1 is the Economic Development Commission update to the City Council. Mr. Werger and Ms. Waldstein.
Here? Okay. All right. Well, very good. Thanks for having us here this evening. Our fearless leader is actually Steve Egley, who has the good sense to be in California during March. And so he's not here. And Dan and I are kind of standing in and going to give this report. You can see the members there. Dan, please jump in if I need to be corrected or anything additional. Oh, thank you. Okay. Thanks. I was thinking I would be at the computer, so that's helpful. Yep, there's our membership. You'll see the voting members. There are non-voting partners, key people and organizations in the city. There are the ex officio members, which are largely city or chamber staff. And then you can see the terms that expired in 2022. I won't go through and read all those, but I'm sure you're familiar with a lot of these people. And also, I think you're going to be pretty familiar with what we're going to present. It's going to be brief. Several of the things you've already acted on, you were certainly always informed, so I don't think there should be many surprises. We have a planning focus, have had and will continue to have. We're using a 5-year economic development strategic plan. The UNI's Institution for Decision Making helped us with that, and it was adopted by you over a year ago in January. We also are using the Comprehensive Plan update together with others, planning and zoning and other groups, and you adopted that this February too. So that's what we're using as sort of our guideposts. The priority areas for the strategic plan are business development, workforce, housing, childcare, and placemaking. And we believe that each of these is critical to the economic growth of Waverly. So let's start with business development. Our goal is to assist new and existing businesses in Waverly so that we have a net gain in the number of businesses each year. Small business recruitment, you can see the various things that we did in the past year to try to support and encourage that. I won't read everything on these slides because it just doesn't make any sense. We also had one state lead. Unfortunately, did not come to fruition because we did not meet the building criteria that the state had articulated for that particular lead, but we keep our eye on those as well. Under workforce, of course, we want to attract development initiatives that support population growth, tax base growth in Waverly. It's been about 1% a year, and we're still hoping to accomplish that, primarily through community marketing and connecting local students with local industry. In the last year, that's what we did anyway. Waverly Welcome Home is the marketing campaign. You can see the number of impressions that we have had from October 20th until January 2023. And and impressions are, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Connie, but I think impressions are where someone has actually looked at the links that we have out there for marketing Waverly. In housing, our goal was to encourage new and rehabilitated housing that will result in at least 35, or not at least, that's not quite articulated correctly there. It's an average of 35 a year. So even though for 2022, you can see we only had 19 new housing units, that, the goal is that over a period of time, we will be able to average 35. And I'm sure you're familiar with some of the building projects that are going on right now. For example, the Bartles construction north of the existing campus, and others that will hopefully over time allow us to reach that average of 35 a year. Childcare, I know some of you have been very concerned about that and have also been supporting efforts. It certainly is key to Waverly's economic growth, and we want to be able to increase the number and type of childcare slots in Waverly. Some of the things that we did in the past year, we provided funding source information for the daycare center and others, home care as well, and we assisted with the sale of tax credits. Placemaking, another goal. This is the advocacy and marketing that results in the completion of community placemaking projects. These should be attractive to potential residents, should be attractive to our current residents so that they stay here, and hopefully also contribute to tourism efforts. 3 projects that I want to mention from this past year, some of them of course still ongoing and into this year: wayfinding signage, the Red Fox redevelopment, and the theater redevelopment. The city partnered with Waverly Chamber Main Street to create a wayfinding master plan. That was in 2021, and we'll be implementing this. The city will be in phases, and phase 1 begins this spring with the installation of 33 wayfinding directional signs, and you can see examples of those on this particular slide. Red Fox redevelopment. There are 34 apartment units that are already completed and, to the best of my knowledge, full. We have 40 plus hotel rooms that are completed out there. The pool is done, the bar is open, the coffee shop is open, and I think there's some other food being served, not just in the last week or two as well. So, yeah, it's open, okay. So that's the Red Fox. And then you can see some pictures there too of the Red Fox. Yeah. So the theater redevelopment project, something else that we've been working on this year, again in collaboration with the city and others. The funding has been secured, including grants and tax credits to the tune of about $1.6 million. The demolition has been pretty much completed. The renovation has started, and the development will include 2 movie theaters, a restaurant and bar, and 8 upper story living units. Some of you may have already taken a little tour up there, I'm guessing, to see what that looks like, but here's some more pictures. So those are the key things of 2022, and we will just continue to work on the strategic plan, the longer strategic plan into 2023. But be happy to try to answer any questions if you have them, with the help of my colleague.
I suppose my only question is, I know we passed that comprehensive plan with MSA. Have you found it useful to use? Have you found a good reference?
Yeah, I mean, I think those comprehensive, I'll just speak for myself, and then Dan should jump in too, or anybody else for that matter. I always find the comprehensive land use plans, you know, really, really useful for any kind of strategic planning, certainly also for economic development. You know, I can't tell you of a specific project where you draw a line from here to there, but I think in general, for just an overall context of, you know, which areas are designated as what, and how do those interact with each other? You know, how does that contribute to economic development? Where will we have the opportunity to perhaps attract, let's say, a state lead for manufacturing or something like that, or, you know, any kind of other residential development or anything else too.
I'm just going to add, I just recently rejoined the Economic Development Commission. I was the liaison while I was on the council, so when I rejoined, it was refreshing, I guess, to see some of the key initiatives that we had been working on, talking about as Edie and I were on the council, kind of progress being made. Some of those key things were housing. To attract people into town, there seemed to be a need for rental housing and those type of things. Childcare was certainly an issue that was brought up multiple times by businesses in town, that in the economy the way it is now, you can go anywhere and do a job. It's what's in the community that holds the people here once they come and visit a facility, those type of things. So 5 years ago, we said there was a need for a lot of new housing. It may be time for the council to take another look at that and update that through a study. We've had several large apartment complexes come online. We've reclaimed some of the Warburg rental housing into single-family housing, those type of things. So we know that there's new housing coming online this spring with possibly a new development. But again, to help developers really get a clearer picture of what's going on in the community, you may want to look at just redoing a housing study at some point. Same thing with childcare. The new childcare center is coming online. Efforts have been made to work in partnership with other organizations out there to get information out to parents that need daycare. So again, that's just something to always keep our eye on, and is it time to refresh some of the data that we've been working on, that type of thing. But again, looking back, stepping into it again, it's refreshing to see that we are keeping our eye on those type of things and have made significant progress.
And you probably already know a lot of this too, but I know Nick out at the Red Fox says that he gets calls every day for more apartment units like the ones that he's developed out there. And the daycare center says that, you know, they are full with their wait list, and, you know, starting with new wait lists again, so, yeah.
Could you clarify a little bit what you mean by the state lead that you talked about?
Yeah, and Connie might be in a better position to talk about that. Apparently, there is a program through this where we get information from the state and collaborate with them in terms of possible companies coming to the city.
Right, through the state Iowa Economic Development Authority, they often work with large companies who are looking to locate in Iowa. And so as that happens, in their effort to try to find a site for them, they will send out information to community economic development organizations, letting them know about the lead. Those are always confidential. They don't share a lot of information, but we get the specifics of if they're looking for an existing building, what type of building they're looking for, what square footage is needed, if they're looking for land, how many acres, and some of the attributes of that land. And so communities then have the opportunity, if you have those assets, that you're able to submit a proposal to them and let them know what you have. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to respond to those in recent years with our business parks full. We also don't really have any large manufacturing facilities, usually what they're looking for, or warehousing sitting empty, which is a good thing, it really is. But we still are on the list to get those leads, and we track how many of those we receive.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anything else from council?
I suppose it's hard to think that having big empty warehouses and empty shells of buildings would in any way be a good thing. So, I mean, the fact that we're missing out on these state leads, what a pity.
Yeah. All right. Moving to item number 2, the Waverly Chamber of Commerce and Main Street Quarterly Update to the City Council.
Well, good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor, City staff, Travis Tolliver with the Chamber of Commerce Main Street Program. Thank you for allowing us to be here tonight to give our quarterly update to you on behalf of our organization. We're going to come at you in 3 different parts this evening. I'm going to briefly go over the dashboard that was sent to you through your agenda and through an email from our board chair. I will then invite our 2023 board chair to come up and introduce herself to you and speak more about our organization and our plans this year. And then we've invited a guest business owner to come and talk to you as well. So looking at the dashboard for 2023, you see at the very top our strategic goals that were outlined in a strategic plan that we created last year to garner awareness for our organization, to ensure long-term financial stability and prepare businesses for the bridge closure, which obviously has been postponed. Our volunteer stats for the year so far, we upped our volunteers to 92 now. We have 92 volunteers, a couple folks helping out in the office as well, as along with additional people to our ambassador program and other committees. They've donated 200 hours and their value is just under $6,000. We have 8 new businesses so far this year in Q1. We've heard back from 103 businesses for their chamber renewals. This is typical that we've only have this much because of the time that we sent out our renewals, which was in mid-February. We probably have a lot more than what's on there now in as well. Number of Chamber Champions, only 4, but again, that campaign just went out to folks, and Chamber Champions is our individual investor program for those who might have retired from organizations that were a part of the Chamber, or people that just simply want to be a part of the Chamber and Main Street program on their own, have an opportunity to invest in our program. And then 20 engaged business visits so far. Below that, you'll see that we've listed all of our events from the fourth quarter, since we really didn't get a chance to update you on those. And that's really where a lot of our work takes place, especially in retail. So I just want to highlight Shop Small Saturday. Your Chamber Main Street program is the neighborhood champion for that national retail event. And so we work with a lot of our small businesses to promote and make that holiday shopping day very important for our small businesses. We partnered with our quarterly Learn Over Lunch program with Waverly Rotary Club, and we invited Debbie Durham, the director of IEDA and the Iowa Finance Authority, to come to not only speak at the event, but also to tour both the theater projects and the Public Works building to see how we can move those projects along. I also want to lift up Santa's arrival. Yes, we work in conjunction with the North Pole to get Santa here every year for kids, and all of his visits that come with that. And then, of course, the signature holiday event of the year, Christmas Greetings on Main. And we had well over 60 windows on Bremer Avenue with live displays. Saw a lot of you out there that night. It's a fun night for everybody and all the kids. It's a great community event. So far this year, had some networking events. We already had our first quarterly Learn Over Lunch event, again, that we partner with the Rotary Club, and coming up on Thursday night, our annual award celebration. I know that there's still tickets available for the city, so if anybody wants to join your colleagues and staff members here, we'd love to have you at that event. We give away 5 awards each year. 3 of them are Distinguished Business Awards, Small Business, Large Business, and Nonprofit. And we also give away awards to individuals in our community for community service and lifetime achievement. So it's a fun night, and definitely encourage you to come. And also, too, wanted to point out that our ambassador program, which is at the bottom, I've added this year. You should know that we've welcomed 7 new businesses to our community in both the fourth quarter and the first quarter, and we have 24 ambassadors active in that program. And they're a good cross-section of our business community to go out and represent not only our organization, but the community at large, especially to new businesses coming to town. And then I'll be really quick with the organizational goals and objectives for the year and for the preceding years as well. Obviously, we have a lot of things in progress when it comes to enhancing the awareness of our organization with folks. We have completed our annual economic impact, which is our annual report basically, to key stakeholders and members. For our financial stability, we have completed an audit review of our organization. Retaining and recruiting businesses is obviously ongoing, and then developing initiatives to have non-member revenue dues is always in progress, and that relates to our new travel program that we have. And then clearly our development of plans for the Bremer Bridge closure have not started yet. But Dan McKenzie is willing to lead that effort, and having a task force of community members and business owners be a part of that to help just find different creative ways to continue having business in our downtown during that time. So Dan and I have a meeting coming up next week where I'm going to tell him that we still want him and his task force to continue to keep working towards those efforts, so that when the time comes that we'll be able to have a great action plan in place, and we'll be able to pull the trigger when it's needed. So it's my pleasure to introduce at this time our 2023 board chair. She works as the marketing manager for Fidelity Bank and Trust, and that is Kristen Vell.
Good evening. As Travis indicated, I am the 2023 board chair for the Waverly Chamber Main Street. I've met many of you, but for those of you who may not know me, I'd like to give just a brief introduction. So my husband and I have lived in Waverly for more than 15 years. Wartburg College is what brought us to town, but we certainly chose to stay here. It's been a perfect fit for us both as college graduates as well as raising a family with 3 young kids. I've been a volunteer with the Chamber Main Street program for many of those years, serving in different roles and capacities. I truly have a passion for making Waverly a great place to live, work, and play. I see immense value in what this organization provides to our community, and I strive to enhance it further during my time as 2023 board chair. That said, it's important to me that we're sharing information that helps inform you of what the Chamber Main Street program is accomplishing, in order for us to foster trust and collaboration. We continue to provide the dashboard at our quarterly updates as Travis just presented. In addition, I will provide a highlight on each of our program's core functions: Chamber, Main Street, and tourism. So each of these functions are woven together, yet we find them mutually beneficial to Waverly. This new format is reflective based on conversations that we've had with many of you. Just talking about that shared vision of success as we move forward, and I look forward to continuing some of those conversations with more of you over the next few months. So moving on, as our chamber function, Travis touched a little bit on our ambassador program already, that we've welcomed 7 businesses since our last quarterly update. With each visit, businesses receive publicity in the newspaper, as well as the Chamber Main Street social outlets, and exposure to the many businesses that are represented by our ambassadors program. So we currently have 24 ambassadors as volunteers in that program, representing a vast cross-sector of businesses in Waverly. These volunteers help us enhance awareness of the Chamber Main Street program and support our mission to develop programs supporting the economic and business environment here in Waverly. As a Main Street function, our facade improvement grant is now available for 2023. This is a 50-50 matching grant up to $4,000 for businesses to utilize in order to rehabilitate or restore facades and infrastructure on their buildings. So over the last 5 years, we've awarded $20,000 through that program. This in turn has an economic impact of over $167,000 in our community. This impact has further enhanced not only the building facades, but also increased taxable value on the buildings in our community. So applications can currently be found on our website or by contacting our chamber office. Last but not least, I'd like to highlight our 18th annual Art Walk, which is a big draw on our tourism and events calendar. We currently have 34 applicants, but artists can still apply through the end of the month here. The event serves as a kickoff to our spring season, commonly also coincides with the retail event that is held in the community. We see visitors from a tri-state area, so that's a big reason why they choose to hold those retail events at the same time as the Art Walk event. We feel that it really generates a great deal of interest from our vendors and is really a prime opportunity to showcase Waverly and what we have to offer here. So I would now like to introduce Tim Locke. He would like to share the value that he and his wife have received from the Chamber Main Street program as both a building owner and a business owner.
Good evening, council. I'm not the best in the spotlight, so I wrote everything down, so I'm just probably going to be looking down here reading, so I apologize. But like she said, my name is Tim Lauk. Me and my wife, Rebecca, and I own 101 and 123 buildings on East Bremer Avenue. We are also the founders of the new Waverly Market business located in the old B mixed space. I would like to take a quick moment to tell you about some of the ways we have worked with the Chamber Main Street program behind the scenes to help launch our new business and how we will be working with them to rehab the upstairs of the 123 building. We reached out to Travis initially with the concept of the marketplace in Waverly based on examples we have experienced in other parts of the country. He referred us to Bob Buckingham, then the chair of the organization Business Development Committee, who has been a true asset in helping us form this business and making it a viable new venture for our community. From there, we contacted Travis again to see how we, as downtown building owners, could access help with design concepts for both the exterior and upper story of the building. Travis arranged Main Street, Iowa design specialist Sarah Lemke to visit Waverly and walk through the building with us. She took her time, taking many photos and pictures and notes of the building. She then went back to Des Moines and a few weeks later sent us several design concepts and renderings of what both the exterior and upper stories could look like with some investment, all while maintaining the historic nature of the building. After that, we applied for the funding from the Chamber Main Street Facade Grant Program and was awarded money to help offset improvements we were making the exterior of the building. We are applying again this year for additional facade funding, and we intend to work with Travis to apply for the Main Street Iowa Challenge Grant to start working on the upper story project later this year. Seeing the value of the Chamber Main Street program, we decided to become members even before our marketplace business opened. We felt it was important to support a local organization like this who has valuable resources for not only existing businesses in our community and downtown, but also new startups like ours. Thanks for allowing me to share, and if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. First off, thank you to Travis, Kristen, and Tim for joining us this evening. I'll open it up to council for any comments, questions, or dialogue that you might have for these three or anybody else that's joined them.
I appreciate hearing the story of Tim and just the actual concrete examples of what was helpful and from both local sources and statewide sources. That was interesting. Thank you.
I had a personal interaction with Tim a few weeks ago. My brother was in town and he pulls up his phone and he goes, "Hey, I'm looking for one of these wine barrel end tables. They're really, really cool." And I said, "There was one in the front window, 3 doors down. We were eating at the Wild Carrot." And so we went down and picked it up out of the window, you know. So just the oddities of coincidentally being in the right place at the right time. So we learned that he's underpriced, or his vendors underpriced compared to what they were where he had found one. So anything further?
I just have one question for Tim. I appreciate you coming here and telling us a little bit about your story here about opening your business, but are you originally from Waverly or what?
I grew up in Sumner, and my wife grew up in Cedar Falls. We met in Waverly. We both lived in Waverly, so we've both been here about 20 years. So we've been here a while. Not natives, but Getting close.
Yeah, at what point do you become one?
So it was kind of a natural progression for you to open your business here in downtown.
We love the downtown. We like the historic part of it.
Can I have you come forward so we can
Yeah.
catch you on the microphone as well? There's people at home that want to hear.
We love the downtown. We've always enjoyed the historic part of the downtown, the brick and all that. We used to always sit at the Bremer Diner and talk about investing downtown. So, I think it was 2018 when we bought 101. And then from there, we just decided we're going to keep on investing in the town. We like it down there, and we just enjoy the community, so.
Had you ever started a business before?
I enjoy investing in real estate. I wasn't planning on opening a business, but I think we came up with a good idea, and they really encouraged that it would be good for downtown. We thought so too, so we took off with it. And I think it's been great for the community, and I think the people have really enjoyed it, and we've been getting great feedback, and just people seem excited. So, and it gives a opportunity for smaller businesses to have a storefront downtown. So so yeah.
Good.
Anything further? Thank you very much
Yeah, thank
for
you.
your time.
Thank you.
Yes. Section G, item number 1, Resolution 23-51, expressing support for the efforts of the Board of the Waverly-Shell Community School District to revise school policies relating to student behavior. Entertain a motion.
I will move this, since I'm the one who proposed it. I'll move approval of Resolution 23-51, expressing support for the efforts of the Board of the Waverly-Shell Community School District to revise school policies relating to student behavior.
I'll second.
Motion by Drenkow, second by Beaufore. Council discussion.
I just want to say a few words here, and then I would like to call Don Meyer up to the microphone. Don is the current district governor for our district, our Rotary district, which is basically the northern half of Iowa. And he has been involved in the circumstances of this incident, and can certainly provide a little bit more insight and answer more questions than I would. But the question that comes up is why is this even being proposed as a resolution here for the city council, since this is really a school board issue and not a city issue? And I agree with that. This is 100% a school issue, and I certainly wouldn't try to propose anything to have this, I would not want to interpose our judgment over the school board. They need to make their decisions and set their policies just the same way that we as a city make our decisions and set our policies. Certainly the school is a completely separate entity from the city. However, the school district is a very important part of the city, and is a very important part of the driver for our economic vitality. Many people who move here to Waverly express the appreciation that they have for the school district. It's one of the things that attract young families here, is the quality of the education that we have here. So I think it's important that we express our support as a city council to the efforts that the school has for discussing some of the issues that they've had there. And we want to support that dialogue that they have, and let them know that the school is an important part of the city, and that we want them to know that we support the decisions that they make in going forward with re-examining some of their policies. So rather than having me ramble on here, if it's all right with the mayor, I would like to ask Don to come up and just give maybe a very short background on what caused this reevaluation, and then answer some questions that any of you might have of him. Thank you, Don.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, all members of the council, for this opportunity to offer my support for this resolution. I commend Councilman Drenkow for bringing it forward. As he mentioned, I am the governor of our Rotary District for this current Rotary year. And as governor, then, I oversee our Rotary Youth Exchange program. And that means I'm required to follow several protocols in terms of establishing and filing a report, investigations, and those things involved in getting to the incident that involved our Rotary Youth Exchange student recently. Our Youth Exchange team, our family that hosted our student, and myself worked closely with the school administration, and investigations were made, reports were filed, investigations were completed, and as we worked through that process, did we see room for improvement on behalf of the school district? Yes, we did. In the end, though, did we see that the school administration or the school district is taking action to improve themselves? Also, yes. And that's what we feel really, really good about. In my view, regardless of where anyone stands on the issues involved, regardless of any judgment anyone may have on those involved, I applaud our school district for taking action to get better, to improve themselves. And by supporting this resolution, you as a council are sending a message to an organization, as Rod mentioned, that has a significant impact on a major constituency in our community of Waverly, namely our students and their families. And so a show of support from you through this resolution for our Waverly-Shell Rock School District is a good and right thing to do. So that's the message that rings loudest to me as I read through this resolution. And so I ask that you join me in supporting it. Thank you for your consideration. Anybody have any questions for me that I can try to answer? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Any council discussion?
We do, I did talk to, or invite the board to come. If that's okay, if they, I guess someone from the
Yeah,
board would like.
I was just going to acknowledge that school board member Charlie Meyers was in the audience this
I didn't know
evening.
If you wanted to come up and say anything, or if you're okay with just listening, it's up to.
I mean.
If you don't want to, you can remain a casual observer.
Yeah.
We understand.
But our president, of course, is the voice of the board, so I would prefer something that's going to be
Yes.
said
You're fine.
on behalf of the board, but obviously I'm here because I have an interest as well in working with you all as well. So.
We will respect that as the council and myself, so. Yep.
I would like to propose a amendment in language. So in the fifth whereas, where it says, open to people of all nations, races, and creeds, I would like to modify that to say, all nations, races, creeds, sexual orientations, and gender identities. My justification is I think we know who's getting bullied in the schools, and I think that's important. A lot of those people are feeling targeted right now, so I think it's important for us to give those people support as well. So that is my my amendment.
How did I know that you'd be wordsmithing this, Brian? I think that is a very legitimate amendment, a very legitimate concern. I would certainly support that.
Is that a motion?
Mine was a motion for an amendment.
I'll second your amending motion.
My only question / concern on that is how fine do we want to get that? I know there are topics of discussion when you say, I know who's getting bullied in schools. Working in schools, there's lots of people that get bullied in different ways and of lots of different backgrounds. And so it's not just certain ones that are highlighted in the news currently. There are a lot of ones that are much more subtly done that are in there. Certainly I tend to work with students that are of high abilities, you know, the nerds, the dweeks, the geeks, those people, the geeks, that have had a history of being bullied, and it's almost societally acceptable that they're kind of the ones that get bullied. So do we add them in? I would almost rather, if we're going to wordsmith it, to just simply go to all backgrounds and just leave.
All people.
Take all of the,
people.
yeah. Rather than try to just individual identify, 20 different subgroups, go to an all, It's just, I worry about trying to be too precise.
So I would propose that we take a vote on the original amendment. There can be a second amendment proposed and a vote held to that. So do you have the amendment documented for the fifth whereas that you could cite for us, Carla?
Yes.
Brian will be more than happy to correct you.
In the fifth whereas for Resolution 23-51, as amended, it would read, whereas such incidents do not reflect our values as a caring community, open to people of all nations, races, creeds, sexual orientations, and gender identities.
So on that amendment, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign.
No.
No.
I have 4 noes, I believe there. So that will stay the same as it is currently written.
I would make
Unless
a
there's-
motion that we amend the fifth whereas to read, whereas such incidents do not reflect our values as a caring community open to all people.
Second that.
Can you read
Motion.
that one more time, please? I'm sorry.
Whereas such incidents do not reflect our values as a caring community open to all people. And I guess I would just like to comment, I don't disagree at all with Brian's comments, but I agree with Tim also that there's a lot of people that are marginalized for all different reasons, and I'd like to be inclusive.
So I got a motion and the second. Any further discussion? Yes, Heather did. Sorry. Any further discussion on that point? Hearing none on the amendment, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. So further discussion on the resolution as a whole, as amended.
I'm torn about this resolution. I'm totally in agreement that children should not be bullied regardless of who they are. What I'm torn about is whether we should have a resolution pertaining to school board business. Because I think they have an elected body to guide the school district in resolutions of their own, policies and procedures of their own. And certainly the school district is an important part of our city, but I'm very concerned that us weighing in on an issue that they are, it sounds like, making strides toward resolving sets a precedent that could invite more resolutions on our part supporting or opposing their business and vice versa. And I worry about whether we want to start that trend. And I say that knowing that if I vote against this, I could be perceived as being in favor of children getting bullied and not being someone who's part of an open, caring community for all people. But I also think that if I want to weigh in on what the school board is doing, I can certainly go there as a private citizen and do that. And I think that's more appropriate. I think that we as a city have made strides, as a city council, I should say, and as city staff, have made strides over the last few years to establish our Human Equity and Diversity Commission. I think it's been in our every strategic planning session we've had that we want to be a community that welcomes all people, because I'm a believer that all people are imperative for economic development and for a diverse and welcoming and thriving community. And I worry that Iowa as a state doesn't have the same philosophy that we put forward as a community. But I just don't think that I can support this resolution because of what I think it's going to mean for future city business. And the precedent that it's setting makes me uncomfortable. I'm not uncomfortable at all with the principle of this resolution, and I certainly support that, but I find it difficult to vote in favor of this because of the reasons I mentioned.
Because it's a resolution. It's, you don't like it. Tell me the difference between like a resolution or just educate people on what a resolution does for us. And it might not be you educating, just educate. Maybe James can or the mayor can educate. What does a resolution do for the city? What does it do? Have we done resolutions in the past where we've supported something? If we can have a conversation about that briefly.
Are you thinking so I think the state legislature and certainly the US Congress have a sense of Congress or a sense of the legislature. I don't know if they're resolutions, but they have statements that they basically vote on saying, we're supporting of this or we feel this way, but it doesn't have the resolution necessarily attached to it. And certainly from Congress, it doesn't have a law attached to it. It's just simply, we believe that's kind of a statement. So it's a sense of the council type of statement as opposed to a resolution. I don't know, Bill, if you have any. I guess I'm kind of with Ann on this, this is not something that we have done in terms of stepping in with the school board or with the county board of supervisors always to state that way, but where does it?
It seems like it's just a statement of what you believe as a group. I mean, it's what you're saying as a group and the message that you're giving to that other entity that you're directing it to.
Yeah, but I think it's different to say we are a community that believes that all children should be able to attend school and not be bullied. That's different than saying we are going to support or not support the business of the school board. That's what I have an issue with, because I think that, what if when we were trying to solve the parking issues around the high school, the school board made a resolution saying, well, we don't like that because it could interfere with parking at football games. That's theoretical. But I don't want to get into the habit of each of us second guessing and either supporting or not supporting what they're doing. Their job is tough enough, as is ours. And I'm not saying there's divisiveness between our two entities right now, because there's not, but I don't know what that could hold in the future. And so that's what I'm concerned about.
And every line that you have in here is a statement. I mean, when it comes down to it, the resolution is it's what you say at the end, but the whereases have importance also.
Mm-hmm.
And it could lead to divisiveness, and I agree with you that I don't think this, I was really conflicted, like how would I vote for this, because I don't know, it looks as though I'm not supporting the efforts here, and I very much do so. It really just is, in my belief, it's just out of our wheelhouse, but kind of put myself in the shoes of school staff, or maybe even parents. I wouldn't want this resolution to come before the city and be passed. I don't know how that could be perceived a lot of different ways. So, yeah, in my opinion, I just don't think it's something we should be involved with.
Well, I'd like to point out that just a few weeks ago, we passed a similar resolution dealing with the pipeline, the carbon dioxide pipeline, supporting the efforts of the County Board of Supervisors in trying to do that. So there is precedent for this. There's a lot of times we pass resolutions. We do that quite often, commemorating different things or setting dates for Arbor Day or commemorating.
Those are proclamation.
Yeah, we do very similar resolutions, and I understand what you're saying, that, we don't want to make it look like we're telling the school board what to do. And that was my ineloquent introduction here, was that the intention here is not to tell the school board what we think they should do. The intention here is to say, that there is a problem. We think there's a problem, and we support the school board in their obvious efforts to address the problem, which they've already taken some steps to do. And again, it comes to an issue of judgment. The judgment is in my judgment, the reputation of the school and the policies that they have in the school, the environment in the school is very important to the city. It's one of the most important things we have here that we want to protect, and I think is entirely appropriate for us to say that the school is a very important part of what we have as a community, and we support their efforts to address some of these issues. Doesn't mean that we're telling them how to address them, or maybe they decide not to address them, but that we think this is an important thing, and that, that we support what decisions they make if they decide to move forward in taking a look at some of these issues. So, I understand your concerns over a city resolution supporting a separate organization. I think it's entirely appropriate. I think it's probably not necessary. For the school board is going to do what the school board's going to do. I mean, they're not going to say, well, we're going to do this because the city said that we should do this. Matter of fact, probably the most important thing is to have this out in the open and say, hey, this is something that we've discussed as a city, and we think that it's important for the school to have a good, safe working environment. If the school had, when we were discussing parking around the school board had passed a resolution saying we would like to see a certain type of parking in the area around the school, I would have welcomed that. I would welcome to hear what their opinion was on it. We didn't have that. We were kind of shooting at trying to understand what the school might like. We had the director of transportation here and told us what he might like to see. And I know that wasn't officially a school, he wasn't here as a school employee, he was here as a bus driver, basically. So, I don't want to spend a lot more time on this. It's getting close to 8 o'clock. I think that unless somebody else has something to say, we're probably okay to go ahead and vote on it.
I think that, I've had a lot to say about it at the school board meeting, and on my own, and listening to people come talk to me, call me, about this. And I think, Rod, you're very correct when the school impacts the city, and whether people want to be here or not, or, and I think it's very important that, the school and the hospital, we all work together and provide each other with support. And I think in this resolution, where I'm reading these specific things in here, all of this, again, is supportive, and I don't see anything that in each sentence that's going to, later down the road, cause conflict or cause any issues. I don't see anything like that in here. You know, I'm very appreciative of, you know, hey, resolution. Should this be a resolution, or should this be some other type of support? You know, like Rod said, I've seen some resolutions of support and whatever that we've done in the past as well. So, you know, there is, I guess I don't know if we're trying to discuss what's going on at the school or just trying to pass a resolution of support here. So I have, like I said, had a lot to say. And I would imagine it, and just, I have been the only council person to show up to a board meeting. So we can sit here and talk about it all day long. But are you going to the board meeting? Any of you? To support it? Are you going to go to the board meeting and support it and express some of these things? Are you going, maybe you've been emailing, maybe it's been not public, I don't know. But this is a way to publicly support the school and what they're doing. If you're not going, I've been going. I have been the only one sitting up here that I've been going. So I guess that's all I'm going to say.
I have to say, when I first saw this on the agenda, I was a little uncomfortable with it for the same reasons that Ann expressed. Just apprehensive about it, I guess, because I think it is important that we stay in our lane. But after reading the resolution, I felt better in that my feeling is it's doing what has already been expressed. It's saying we support what the school board is trying to do, and we acknowledge the importance of healthy schools in our community. And so I feel okay about it now, but I do think we have to be very mindful that we aren't going to get into a habit of stepping into everybody else's business. And maybe I need to make a resolution about that.
I guess the one, I mean, I'm still kind of with Ann on this, is very hesitant about being out of our lane on it. And the statement about we're not telling them what to do, but we are. Because we're telling them to make meaningful reforms, to have real consequences, to have policies that are enforced. So we are telling them what we want them to do. We're not just saying we support your efforts. We're telling them,
And that's
make reforms.
That's where I'm uncomfortable with
That's
that too.
that extra step beyond just saying we support your efforts to address these issues.
And I think, you know, I appreciate Heather's efforts. I think we all have areas in the community that are of special interest to us, right? That we might spend extra time or write more emails, and that's one that you've taken to heart and is very close to you, right? And so I appreciate the efforts that you're making, and I don't mean to discount those by my hesitation. I think my couple other comments, one is I'm a little worried about the statement about why the 2 exchange students went home. We aren't privy to that whole discussion. It's private, right, between that student and their host family and apparently the Rotary leadership in the school district. And so I don't know what all went into those students deciding to leave early. So that makes me uncomfortable. With regard to the comparison to the pipeline, I think if something happens to that pipeline, our first responders, who in some cases are employed by the city, are going to be directly involved in a potentially very dangerous situation. And so I think it was within our lane, so to speak, to comment on that and to ask that a company, if they do a pipeline, needs to make sure that we're aware of their safety procedures, et cetera. It also comes within the 2-mile zone that is, at least informally, part of what we as city council members are supposed to be thinking about with regard to land use and development. So I think it's a little different than us making a resolution that is telling the school board how to do their job.
Well, the big difference there too is that resolution for the pipeline was a letter to go to the IUB with our names on it. Whether or not that means much, I don't know, but.
Right.
Right. And this isn't that.
Would you feel more comfortable doing a resolution that is sending a letter of support?
I'd be more comfortable with that. I'd be more comfortable with softening up that language on the bottom of that, either way.
I had one person share with me, and this will be my only comment, was that this evening's discussion, the amount of individual support and how it's presented to the one school board member that's here, but also that it's available for any of them to listen to and go back and reflect on, it exerts the efforts of the resolution itself, potentially. So whether it's passed or not, there's been a communication already, individually, of everybody's feelings, no matter what way you end up voting. So that was from their perspective of no matter what happens with this resolution, the individual engagement around the dais tells them everything they need to know about this body or these individuals' position. I thought that was an interesting perspective.
I think we should call the question.
All in favor to call the question, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Roll call, Carla.
Schneider,
No.
Rathe,
No.
Meyers,
Yes.
Kangas,
No.
Drenkow,
Yes.
Birgen,
Yes.
Beaufore.
Yes.
On a vote of 4-3, Resolution 23-51 is approved. On to Section H, reports from boards and commissions. Item 1 is the Bremer-Waverly Law Enforcement Board Minutes of March 13th, 2023, received into the record. And we have staff updates, sir.
Rich?
All right. Go ahead.
I had on my calendar to check back with the council to see if anything further needed to be discussed or acted on for fireworks. It's coming up, probably too soon.
Well, by the time you get through readings and everything, it'd be right on our doorstep, so. Is there a consensus of any type towards that item?
So the current law is fireworks are allowed the day before and the day of 4th of July.
And the day
3rd and
after.
4th, and the day after. So 3rd, 4th, and 5th, as well as New Year's Eve.
Correct.
I think I'm more comfortable visiting this after the 4th of July versus right before, because if we do things right before, people are going to be confused and everything. So maybe moving the date back and just, if we're going to revisit fireworks, doing it afterwards. That's just the only thing that makes sense to me. I don't see.
July
doing it
study
right
session?
before.
It's potential. The interesting thing this year is the 4th is on a Tuesday, so we've got a weekend, the 1st and 2nd, Saturday, Sunday, right before that, so.
And does our,
It doesn't.
Does it cover that or no?
We changed it to being just those 3 days.
Well, I think this would be a good test case then.
Yeah.
And I like
So
the
it's
idea,
good.
we can discuss it at the July study session and see how we think it went.
I'm not
Good
in
idea.
favor of changing it again. I've made
Yep.
that statement before, so.
We'll bring it up in the second meeting in the discussion to see if it needs to be on the study session for July. It may not,
Second meeting.
of July.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
So,
that way
okay.
we don't need to task
So that's
council if
gonna be
everybody behaved or whatever.
We just put it on there.
We're gonna have
You can.
Our first meeting in July will be the 10th because the 3rd is a Monday. Right?
So on the
It's a
17th.
holiday, the 3rd.
Yeah. So we
Okay.
10th, 17th, yeah, 20th.
Why don't we do it on the, on the discussion meeting?
Right.
Because we probably aren't going to have any action item proposed. If we decide at the study session that we want to do an action item, then we can do that in August.
Right.
Maybe do
Yeah.
a release ride along on July 3rd with the two eyewitness accounts.
Yeah.
We can all be deputized to go wander around town.
That's all we have, sir.
All right, thank you. Council comments, Ms. Meyers.
Nothing from me.
Mr. Bergen?
Anyone who wants to discuss city council business, you can join me for a beer at the Bremer Avenue Brewery.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Drenkow?
I'm good.
Ms. Rathe?
Nothing.
Ms. Beaufore?
There was a study session this past week for the school board on some of the stuff that we've discussed today, and it went very well. I think that the school board is doing a very good job, diving into this and trying to make policies change, or just seeing what the issue is, trying to find what, deep dive into this. So I appreciate the board's hard work in this, and they are doing another study session on April 3rd at 6:30. So I strongly encourage anyone to come in, make sure that they have a statement ready if they wanted to say anything publicly, and because you only get 3 minutes. So just make sure that you have it ready and you sign in if you do want to make any comments. But it's been really good to sit down and hear and listen with it, and very educational too. So if you really want to know what's going on and participate in this, join. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kangas?
Well, I didn't want to kind of throw in, because it's somewhat tangential to what we talked about with that. But one of the things that I wanted to kind of just touch on was with the Iowa State Athletic Association, as well as the Iowa Girls State Athletic Union. One of the things that they are implementing, starting with the spring sports season for officials, as I'm a certified official, so a lot of people know, is there is a kind of a tracking system that they're going to be doing now for any types of discriminatory language or comments during the game by competitors, from the benches. We've always had somewhat of ability to monitor if the crowd is being disruptive, and certainly direct flagrant things, but we are actually being told now as officials that we are going to be stopping the game if there is accusations of name calling or harassment or anything like that, that we then are reporting to the bench. If we hear it, we are supposed to be ejecting those players that are involved. We are also, if we don't hear it, we're simply stopping the game and warning coaches, and then we have to do a write-up after the game as officials. More paperwork for us, it's lovely. But part of what the athletic associations are looking at doing is they are wanting to keep track of, is there a prevalence of different school districts or particular districts that are having these incidents occurring during their games. There's been a lot of talk about it in recent years across a number of areas. I know as an official, I talk with other officials, we talk amongst ourselves, so we know when we're going into certain competitions between different districts that there could be fireworks potential between them. We know who are the rivalry districts, but also that there are some that have a tendency to be one way more or the other. Now, I'm not saying that specifically in regard to Waverly-Shell Rock or anything on any specific school district. I'm just saying this is something that the public should be aware of going forward. Newspapers, it might be a good story to kind of look at into kind of talking about it, because this is an issue that goes beyond just what's happening in our schools. It's happening out on the sports fields. It's happening in our society. And this is the step that they are taking to try to get a handle of that. And so I just wanted to bring that. I didn't want to drive into that other discussion with that, but that was that. And then I'm not going to ask about the golf course because the last time I did it snowed again, so. Working on it.
All right. Thank you, sir. I had just 2 comments. My visit to Eisenach as sister city was very pleasant. I was only there 52 and a half hours from train to train. Crammed a lot in there. Got to meet Mayor Wolf and her whole executive entourage and individuals from Hungary, France, what used to be East Germany before they split, so they still maintain that relationship in Denmark. I think we're just fortunate with our relationship as in believing in what the Sister City organization provides, that we're not in a situation like the Denmark group is, where the city council, I guess you could say, from that community has changed their position on it and don't support it. So they've actually got a group of essentially volunteers that have maintained a relationship outside of a formal relationship between that city. Fortunately for them, the Eisenach side of the program has maintained that tie with them and respected them as such. So it wasn't an official sister city visit from their side of things, but they were there and welcomed just the same. So lots of great things going on there. They're looking at some visits in the future. It's definitely something that we should look at with our tourism type thing, as far as how we interact with that program. Horse sales this week, so let's be on our toes. Extra traffic, people that may not know exactly where they're coming from or going to necessarily. So let's just show them our Waverly welcomeness and be who we are. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Motion by Schneider, second by Kangas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.